Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Kemi, and I'm here to talk about Beyond the Gates Season 2, Episode 35. Before we begin, make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, and turning on your post notifications so you'll know whenever I post. All right, so as we always do, I'm going to be going all over the place with this episode because, again, everything was all over the place with this episode. So we start off the episode with Kat at Martin's, and she's coming over there to check on him and just talk with him because he's upset, but he's not upset about her missing out on the family night that they had when Naomi and Chelsea had came over or whatever. And she's talking to him about why he didn't offer to take her to Costa Rica or whatever. So they're doing their little brother sister banter back and forth, and she's Smitty is just like, you can always go with Tomas, and he's like, oh, Martin's like, oh, he's now Gina partner, that's why she had to spend Valentine's with Mama. And they just doing their little brother sister stuff or whatever. So Samantha comes in and she's like rushing, and they're like, Martin and Smitty are worried because they're just like, okay, why are you rushing? Kat wants to show her the proofs or the pictures that she set up for Chelsea Cat, and she's just like, oh, I got to go do this X, Y, and Z. And they're like, I thought Martin and Smitty are like, I thought you were on top of it. And she's just like, I've fallen behind. And they're just like, well, why are you falling behind? Because it's just like, you got too much going on. Is it the clinic? Is it Chelsea Cat? And it's just like, again, what clinic are y'all talking about? I'm gonna keep talking about her not having anything to do with this clinic that Leslie stole from her, because Leslie stole it from her. So she tells them, she's worried about Gran and she can't focus because all she can think about is Gran. So she wants Martin to check on Gran for her. So Martin goes and calls Vernon. Vernon gives him the news. So he tells them what the news is, and they decide to go to the Grants to, just support her while she's going to do the news or whatever. Smitty tells him, he can't go. Samantha can go in his place because he has something to do. And Martin's just like, okay, you putting your work above your family, and we know how, when I did it, how it turned out before. And he was just like, if you knew what I was doing, then you would want me to do this. And he was just like, all right. So they go to the Grands. We see, I will come back to this part because this took up a lot for the majority of the episode. So we see, no, let me go here first. Sorry. So we see Bill and Hayley. They're at the office, and Bill gets a call from Elon. He lets them know that he found the person who mugged Hayley, and they need her to come down for a lineup. Hayley is telling Bill, I got this. You don't need to come. I can do this by myself. He's just like, not no, but hell no. She's just like, no, I can do this. I'm not afraid anymore. I have to do this by myself. Da 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 da. Besides, Chelsea is coming to take you to lunch. So, I don't want to be the reason why you don't spend time with your kids or whatever. So he's just like, okay, fine, you can go or whatever. So she leaves the office and she sends a text to Randy. Now we see Randy, he is at Orphe Jeans, and June comes to take his order. He's not ready to order. And she's like giving him a little lip, like, don't be hogging up my table, basically. So Lynette comes in and she tells him it's been taken care of, and he's just like, what? And Joey comes in and he was just like, my boss is here, go. And she'll just like, I'll text you the details. So she leaves. Joey comes over and he's just like, is that what I pay you for? And he was just like, nah, she said, he plays it off and is just like, she said she had seen something, but she couldn't get too much information. She didn't see a lot, but she was giving me as much information as she can or whatever. So he was just like, all right, well, you need to get to getting because um I need to I need Bill in my pocket or whatever. So Randy leaves, and Bill calls Joey and tells him, hey, the police found the person who did it. And Joey's just like, oh, okay. So he calls Malone and he was just like, hey, I need to get some information from you. So we see what do we see? Oh, we see what's her name? We see what's this girl's name? Oh my goodness, why am I blanking? I can't believe I'm blanking. Um Randy and Hayley. Sorry. So we see Randy and Hayley. They're at Uptown or whatever, and she thanks him for finding the person, and he's just like, I ain't find nothing. This is all in net. This is y'all's plan that y'all did. She got you on a leash and she's gonna pull on that leash whenever to get it as tight as she can get it or whatever. So Lynette texts him a picture of the person that she's framing. So he shows it to Hayley and said, this is who you need to pick out. And she's just like, he don't look like he could hurt a fly. So now we frame him in to go to jail. And he's just like, look, this is what you guys did. I didn't put this in motion. This man, he was homeless. Now he about to have a cot and 3 meals. So it is what it is at this point. And she's just like, she's kind of feeling bad. And he's just like, again, ain't nobody tell you to go with this stupid idea with Lynette. And now you got to face the consequences. This is where we at. So boom, this is a person you need to pick up out the lineup because that's who she's going to pick. So get it done. So we see her at the police station and she's laying it on thick with Elon, thanking him so much for finding the person. Now she doesn't feel like she should be afraid anymore and all this other stuff, just laying it on thick, of course. And he's just like, all right, cool, whatever. So he walks away and we see Lynette sorry. We see Lynette behind her. So Lynette walks up and they talk about, them picking the guy up and picking the guy out of the lineup. Hayley tells her that, we're checking out. And she was just like, I hope you don't think I'm gonna check out. The what's it called? The housekeepers know my name. Like room service know me. I'm not leaving. So she's just like, okay, that's fine. You can stay and I'll pick up the tab. No need to worry Bill about this. And Lynette was just like, speaking of Bill, when are you gonna so sorry. When are you gonna tell him? Give me one moment. Sorry about that. So Lynette is just like, when are you going to tell Bill to work on my case and get this thing dismissed? And she's just like, Hayley is just like, I'm still working on it. And she was just like, you got him back in your pocket with this whole thing. And now he's focused on you. This is the best time you need to tell him, like, I'm looking at serving jail time, like real prison time. So you need to make things happen. He needs to get my case dismissed. And Hayley's just like, okay, fine, I'm gonna work on it. And it's just like, girl. Yeah, girl. Like, that lady not playing with you. She not playing with you at all. So I'm gonna need you to do what you gotta do and get this taken care of, cause ma'am. She is not playing. And Randy was completely right. Like, you are now beholden to her, and that is your fault. You shouldn't have went along with her scheme, but You were so worried about Bill running back to Danny that you decided to do something that's gonna get you caught up in the long run. And this is where we at this point. So we see Bill, he's in his office, and Chelsea comes in, and she runs and gives him a big hug. She tells him about the donation, and she knows that he did it. He tries to play coy like he don't know what it is. And then he's just like, he finally admits it. And she's just, and he was just like, she must really love you because she was willing to give up a job that she loved just to be with you. And it was just like, yeah. And Danny did the same thing for you, and look what you did to her. Child. So Chelsea's just like, yeah, I really love her, whatever. And she's just like, you know what, I gotta take you to lunch, even though you're trying to be humble about what you did. I'm still so appreciative of it. So I'm gonna take you to lunch. And then she gets a text from Danny. So she was just like, we have to reschedule. I think something is about to go down because Danny wants us to meet at the Grands. Forgot to say, Naomi, she was at Orphe Jeans when we seen June, like, talking to Randy or whatever, and she was doing some work. She put some stuff up, and she pulled out her burner phone, and she was about to text it, but then she decides against it and she puts it back up. So let's see. We see Jacob. He's in the alley. Child, whatever. So he's in the alley, and he's he the his connect comes and gives him an envelope and was just like, thank you for doing what you had to do with the guy or whatever. He was just like, cool, so when am I gonna get my next job or whatever? He was just like, I'm about to find out. So the guy walks away, and then he comes back. He comes back and he sees Jacob counting the money or looking at the money. He was just like, what you doing? And he was just like, oh, I'm just making sure the serial numbers aren't, in order, like running back to back. And he was just like, nah, we smart. We not sloppy like that, but I'm glad that you look at that because, that shows initiative and that shows that you smart. He likes that he did that because the last guy was sloppy, and that'll get you caught up. And Jacob was just like, oh, and then Jacob gets a text, and he was just like, the package is ready. So the guy tells him, go ahead, go do this, and remember, you don't say nothing, you don't see nothing, you don't say nothing. You just move the package. So Jacob goes, and then we see him again, and we see him with Smitty. I'm just too done with them. These two are a mess. So we see them together. Smitty asked him, what happened with the guy that he was supposed to beat up, and Jacob basically tells him, I just gave him a stern talking to, and I told him what would happen if he don't, if since I'm not doing nothing, the next person they're gonna say and gonna do something worse. So the guy basically was just like, okay, we got you, whatever. So he tells Smitty about the the package drop off. So he gives him a description of the guy, and Smitty pulls out a writing pad and starts writing it down. I'm just like, sir, you could have had your phone on record so that you could record the conversation, or had you a tape recorder. But why would you pull out a notepad and start writing? Like, so obvious, but whatever. So he asked them, how's the fam? And he tells him, you'll see soon, it's gonna be on the news. And he was just like, oh, Anita's gonna go public. And he was just like, yeah. So he was just like, man, I wish I could be there for Naomi or whatever at this time. So then he sends Naomi a text. So the majority of the episode. So we see Danny and we see Danny and Nicole. They're at their parents, and Nicole is telling Danny about what Anastasia told her, and she was just like, "Why is this the first time that I'm hearing about this?" She doesn't know what's going on. They want to figure out why their mom called them and what's going on. Vernon comes down. Vernon was just like, "Oh, I thought I heard y'all." They were just like, "What happened? Tell us what's going on. If something's bad, we need to know." He was just like, your mama gonna tell you, and she was just like, "No, let's just tell me now." And it's just like, y'all, if your mom, if one of them is telling you to wait for the other person to tell you something, let the other person be the one to tell it to you. Why are you rushing to get the information? You just like Naomi and Chelsea. So they go into the living room. Anita comes down the elevator. They're worried because they're just like, "You don't ever take the elevator. Everything okay?" And she's just like, "I'm conserving my energy. Um, I'm conserving my energy. That's the only reason why. I'm okay." Then she basically tells them what happens, and then she tells them that she is going to go on Gail King to announce her diagnosis. And Nicole is just like, I hate that you were forced to do this. And Anita's just like, "No, nobody forced me to do nothing. This is what I want to do." But technically, yeah, you kind of low key was forced, but I'm gonna let you have that. So then we see Kat and Martin and Samantha. They come to be with her or whatever. They're wanting to surround her with love, as she explains, because again, Martin had called Vernon, and Vernon had told him that she was going to go and announce the news. So they had chartered a jet to take them to New York, because they're going to Gail. They're going to do it with Gail King. So they're going to go, and then they'll be back that night or whatever. So that's why they went to the house to be with her or whatever. Danny is calling her girls to come so that the whole family can be together. So they're talking, and Anita is like, she's just saying she wishes that she didn't have to do this, especially with everything that's going on, Martin's reelection campaign, um Chelsea, Cat, the cotillion, like every not the cotillion, I'm sorry, Danny returning to modeling. And they're just like, "We don't worry. We don't care about none of that. We are with you 100%. We got your back." We know Nicole is just like, "We know Daddy is going with you. Do you want to like some other members of the family can come with you to support you?" And she was just like, "No, I would rather you guys all be here and listen to it, because I want you guys to hear what I have to say, but I want y'all to listen to it as a family." So she tells them that she's not going to mention anything about the BRCA gene, um, the BRCA gene within the family, because she doesn't want nobody to be in their family business like that. Um, let's see. So Naomi and Chelsea, yeah, Naomi and Chelsea, they get there too late. So by the time they get there, Anita and Vernon have made it to New York, and they're about to go on air. So Naomi goes to call Anita just to, let her know she's there or whatever. Chelsea was gonna go, but then she stops and she tells Kat and Danny about what Bill did, and they're excited for her. Kat's extremely excited because she don't want her cousin to leave, and Danny is just like, "That's your father. When it comes to his girls, he'll do anything. He may be an ass, but when it comes to y'all, he gonna move heaven and earth." Okay. But anyways, um so we then see um we see Martin and is this what happened? Yes. So we see Martin and Nicole. They're talking to Samantha, and they're basically telling her that, she needs to slow down, and it's okay. She can admit that, things are too much. And she's just like, "Well, why do I have to slow down or admit this when you guys aren't slowing down?" And they're just like, "Yeah, you right. Maybe we need to slow down too. And Nicole tells her, it's okay. You have to give yourself grace. And then Martin says, that's why I made the call. So she closes her computer and she's just like, all right. So she's already sad. And Nicole is just like, you don't want to know what call. And she was just like, I mean, I already know he's gonna tell me that that's the face that she's giving. And then he tells her, I called your psych professor. I gave her a little bit of the news, but she's gonna find out the rest of it. But she's gonna give you an extension on your project. So she's so happy because she was just like, oh, I'm so happy because I thought you were gonna tell me that I couldn't do Chelsea Cat anymore or work at the clinic. And again, what clinic? I need to know which clinic you're working for because it's not the one that Leslie stole from me. But I digress. I'm telling y'all, I'm gonna be on that until we find out what clinic she's talking about. I need to know what clinic she is working for. So she's happy that she gets to keep, she gets to keep doing everything else that she's doing, and also that she got the extension. So we then see Vernon and Anita. They are at in New York, and Anita is, and she looks so good in this red. This whole attire was. But anyway, so Vernon and Anita, they are at in New York with Gail King, and they start to do the interview. And Anita basically tells her, during the holidays, I was getting ready for Winterfest, and one of a good family friend, she made me, I was gonna put off doing my mammogram, but she made me see that I need to do it. And she mentions Laura. So she did the mammogram, and then she was diagnosed with triple negative big C. And Yeah, she just basically tells what's been happening or whatever, and how she hopes that with her coming, because Gail asked her, why are you coming forward now? And she's basically saying, with me coming forward now, I hope that this will get other women to want to go and get tested, do their mammograms, do what they need to do so that they don't put it off on the back end, because that's what she was going to do. Had she not, then because she found it, sooner rather than later. She hopes that this will push other women to do so. And Gail's basically telling her, they will, we're going to be flooded with calls. You're going to be flooded with calls of people saying, I got tested, I got treatment. It's just like, you coming forward is a big thing. As she's doing this, we do see the whole family. They are at the house watching, because Vernon has it on. He has his phone out. So his phone is, the whole family is hearing what she's saying from through the phone or whatever. So that's how the whole family is listening and watching or whatever. So after she's done it, her and Gail are talking, and Gail is thanking her for coming, and Anita's thanking for having her there. And Gail is basically saying, I know you're going to beat this and all this other stuff. So the episode ends with, oh yeah, we see, so once this is all done, we see the family. They're all proud of Anita. Chelsea does like a little post where she's just like, my grand is the strongest woman I ever know. More details to come soon. They post that. Naomi gets a text from Jacob saying, hearts and miss you. And Danny goes to call Bill, and he was just like, I hope everything went well with the interview. And she was just like, yeah, yeah, it did. And she was just really calling to thank him for what he did for Chelsea. And then she starts to talk about the BRCA gene as Naomi comes up and is listening to her talking about it, and how she's so focused on that she's not focusing on her future or whatever. So we see Bill, because at first we were seeing Danny talking. Then we see Bill and he's telling her, don't worry about anything. Danny, I got you and I always will. And as he's saying that, Hayley's coming in, so she hears him telling Danny that, I got you. So that's how the episode ends. So it's like, Hayley, you did all of that. You really did all of that. And this man is still focusing on his ex-wife. So now you got Lynette on that behind, and he is still focusing on his ex-wife. I guess it didn't work, did it, Hayley? I forgot to mention that after Randy had met up with Hayley at Uptown, he went back to Orphe Jeans to meet back up with Joey, and Joey told him, you know, don't need to look no further. The police found the guy, and Randy was just like, "Oh, okay." And so as Joey is talking about it, June is walking by and she's cleaning a table, so she mentions the guy's name, and June comes up and she's just like, "Oh, what? Who did you say?" And he says the guy's name again, and she's just like, "Oh, that's Sludge." And Joey's like, he's gonna go away, and she's just like, "Oh, Sludge wouldn't hurt a fly. He is as nice as they come. And if anybody is saying he did something to anybody, they're lying and they got the wrong guy." So now Joey's like, do we have the right guy? Hayley, you about to get it. But yeah, y'all, that was the episode. Make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, and turning on your post notifications so you'll know whenever I post. Get down in the comments. Tell me what you guys thought of this episode, and I will see you guys in the next one.